folks, here we go. Game number 24. All right, we're 24 games in. Not bad. All right, here we go. Very interesting game here. I like this one. All right, here we go. Watch what happens. Morphy's got the black pieces. All right, he's coming off a good win against Lowenthal. All right, Lowenthal starts off with the king pawn. Morphy e5, no surprise. The knight comes out. And here we go again, folks. Petrov's defense for Morphy. All right. Now, look, we just got through 2 king's gambits declined when Morphy has white. And here we are with the second game when Morphy has black. He's going with the Petrov's defense. You know, this, I just got to mention, this is what I like. When you pick a player and you go through his games and here specifically his match, you know, you get the real, you get deep into it. You get the feel of what the players were going through, He tried the Petrov. You see the subtle differences that occur between the different games with the same openings against the same player at the same time period. It's very instructive. Okay, basically I'm yapping away. All right, let's get into it. And I'll point out some of these subtle differences now. Watch this. So the game starts off just like the, let's see, make sure that was the third match game when Morphy whipped out this Petrov's defense, knight f6. All right, so white takes the pawn. Okay, and it's worth mentioning to the kiddos out there, don't go jumping the gun and grabbing it because there's this trap, right? You move your knight back to safety and wham, you get hit with this discovered check, losing the queen, the black queen, right? No matter what you do. All right, if you block this way, you block that way, the knight takes out the queen, and it's game over for black. All right, so Morphy, he doesn't fall for this. Come on, this is the hero, folks. He doesn't fall for those cheapos. D6, boot the knight away first. All right, the knight goes back. Morphy grabs the pawn. All right, and here, how does Lowenthal continue? Just like in the third match game, he plays d4, okay, grabbing the center, getting ready for those bishops to come out. Now he unleashes the queen bishop, right, moving that d pawn. All right, look at Morphy, just like in the other game, d5. And here we have Lowenthal attacking the knight, putting pressure on that knight. And here Morphy again, with his move, folks, we talked about it in the other game. He plays this, okay? That was his own recipe in this position, his own little thing he whipped up. He blocks the, he keeps that bishop sheltering his king on this open e-file. And sure enough, Lowenthal castles. This guy, after this, another move by Morphy, instead of castling, he brings the knight out, okay? All the same up until this point. Now, in the other game, in the third match game that I'm referring to, Lowenthal put the rook on e1, and you can see that the logic of bishop e7. The logic of bishop e7 is to just shelter the king. So if you want to move the knight, it was Morphy said either to throw it back here or even to d6, okay? But let's get to this game now. Lowenthal, figuring he didn't do well with that move, he tries a different one. Instead of rook e1, he hits in the center with c4. All right, Morphy develops the bishop, similar when the other game was played. Eventually, c4 was played, and Morphy's backing up the d pawn with the bishop. I believe he did that in the other game too, and I'm just going to check, right? Let me see here. Yes, okay. It was by move 9, okay? So we're a little behind here because the rook, Lowenthal moved the rook out to e1, like I said, on move 8. Okay, so anyway, here we go, folks. Here we go. Just one little subtle difference. We got a different game going here. The beauty of chess, all right? So here we go. Let's see. So now we got move 9, right? Okay, bishop to e6, and here's what it says. Bishop to g4 in this position was, forgive me on this, or I'm going to butcher it, Janish's move. Janish I don't even know where this guy's from. Folks, I know a little bit about chess. I know practically nothing about language. I'm not, I don't know. Forgive me by butchering this one. It says that the bishop g4 was the move and is still considered best. Here you go. Here's another move, right? Here's another move. Knight to b4 is also playable. Hitting that bishop on d3, right? So, anyway, just curious. Let's just see what the engine, just curious what the engine finds about this move. It says this is also playable. The old masters, folks, they recommend that this is also playable. So you still got various choices, you know. Let's see. So after this, let me move it. Let's see what it does. After knight to b4, going after that bishop, right? What if something like this? What do you do now? You take that, take the bishop. Now you got the bishop here, right? Simple enough. You take, right? Queen takes. There you go. And look at this D pawn. Isolated D pawn, folks. Now, if he brings this out, if he brings this one out, you know, you're forced to take here. And then, okay, now he has hanging pawns. A little better than the isolated pawn. But Morphy's got the bishop here. I like the game for black. Not bad. Look at the engine. Look at this. Let's say, all right, it says castles, right? Let's just grab a pawn over here. Look at this. 0.12, right? Practically even. It's leaning a little towards black. But, I mean, that's not even a significant advantage. Anything under 1, I always say, anything under 1, especially with amateurs, forget about it. It's basically equal. All right, so there you go. That's how that could play out. It's an idea. But, okay. Here you go. Morphy bringing the bishop out. And they're saying this is was considered the best move in this position. Now, similar, the difference in the other game, when this came out, right, this was Pillsbury's move now. Credit, same idea, bishop g4, pinning the knight. You know, we went into that. If you want to watch that game, that was game, I believe, we're on 24. I believe that was 22. Yep, that was the other Petrov's. All right, Petrov's defense. Okay, so in this game, we got c4. Morphy with bishop to e6. And here we go. So, Lowenthal takes the pawn. All right, bishop takes back. Now, Lowenthal tries to bring the queen bishop to e3, helping support, solidify his d4 pawn. So, Morphy has no pawns in the center. And Lowenthal has this one D pawn, although it's isolated, right? So anyway, here we go. Morphy castles. And here comes the knight. All right. There's two attacking this, right? The bishop and the c3 knight. So Morphy pushes the pawn to lend support. He doesn't want to waste time moving the knight back. He doesn't want to retreat. He pushes the pawn up, but here you go. Here's the note. This pawn remains weak as in the third game. That's true, folks. That's what happened in the third game, the other match. The other match game with the Petrov. All right, here we go. White takes the bishop here. He snatches the bishop. Morphy takes back with the queen. Okay, now watch this sneaky move, folks. What do you think this is about? Bishop to c2. Do you see the threat? Devastating threat coming up. All right. Let's just play a silly move right there. Game over. You just lost your queen. See that? You got the queen on d5 pinned to the king over here on g8. Game over. You lose the queen. So, Morphy sees this, spots it a mile away. King to h8, getting out of danger. Well, Lowenthal posts that bishop nice on b3 anyway. Tempo on the queen. All right, the queen drops back to the dark squares on d6. Okay. He wants to maybe try to play against that d-pawn, that isolated d-pawn. Bring the bishop to f6, bring a rook to d8, right? All right, here we go. Look at this. No time, though. Look at this. Lowenthal pushing the pawn up, booting the knight on c6. This pawn, on the other hand, appears to have a charmed life up to the 31st move. All right, so the knight leaps over here, ready to swap off that bishop on b3, a strong piece for the knight now, which is on the outskirts, on the edge. All right, here we go. Look at this. Lowenthal doesn't care. He posts his bishop nice on the long diagonal. See this? Bishop d4 on the dark diagonal, aiming right at the enemy king. Morphy can't have that, so he challenges him. All right? So the challenge, here we go. Now look at this. Lowenthal with rook to e1. That's where that rook wants to go, to the open file. All right, here comes Morphy putting pressure on d5, threatening knight takes bishop on b3 and then winning the d pawn, right? Okay, so anyway, here we go. No time right now. He swaps this piece, right? He takes this piece. Okay, and he's hitting this rook over here. So they recommend the queen moving here, right? The book mentions that perhaps the rook taking bishop was better than what Morphy does. What does Morphy do? He takes with the knight. You know, if you look at it at first glance, it looks pretty good. He's putting more pressure on that d5 pawn. It's isolated, right? He's gonna take out the defending bishop, and now we got 3 on it. Forget it. That pawn's a goner, right? Well, look at this now. Look at this. Lowenthal with the tactics, though, right? The tactics. The knight comes to g5. Okay, what's he doing? He's threatening to fork the 2 rooks on knight to e6. Forks those 2 rooks. So, look at this. What does Morphy do? Well, he swings his knight up. They go tit for tat. Look at it. Look at the threat over here. If he goes in like this, like a dope, you see what's coming, folks? We got queen down with a check. King over here. Now you save one of your rooks. They moved the F rook according to the engine. F rook over, right? Now if he takes like this, I mean, it's checkmate. You just opened up the E file for the black rook, and the queen could give mate. So he can't even take the rook. He can't win the exchange. So, you know, there you go. Look at white. Down, you know, equivalent to 5 pawns. That's how bad this position is. All right, need we say any more? So anyway, look at this. Look at this. Queen comes up. All right. Threatening mate on g7. Look at this. You take here. Right? I mean, you check here. King up. You take with check. All right. Look at this. He takes. Okay. Now you give the check. You capture a rook with check. Why? Because you're winning the white queen. See that? The pawn recaptured on e6. Now the queen is vulnerable. Look, exposed. And there you go. Look at white. White's up a rook. Now wait a minute. I'm just looking at something here. What happens on this? Is this any pressure? Because the rook can't go back. I guess the knight. You could give the check. Okay, you give the check. You give the check, right? You're going to swap the pieces off. If he comes here, you take rook takes with check, I guess, right? Yeah, rook takes with check. You take there. Now the knight f6 and the pawn can't make it, right? You come over here. Knight c6. Now look at this. You know, we end up in an end game, but I think black is still up. See that? You got it. You got to sack. You got to sack the knight for it. All right, bishop takes. And you're in an end game. Look at this. No doubt about it. You're in an end game with the knight versus bishop. And the bishop is usually better in an end game, especially when pawns are on both sides of the board, because the bishop is quick. Can cover both sides of the board. Meanwhile, the knight's clumsy. It's got to jump around. But the knight is superior here, mainly because he's up 2 pawns. Come on, you can't play around like the white's down. He's down. Look, it even says it right here, folks. Look up here. 2.4. I mean, forget it. He's up over 2 points. He's up 2 pawns if you just look at the board, right? The evaluation is clear as day. Easy win for black. No doubt about it. All right, so that's cute, right? The tactics, you just bring it back, right? You just take all those pieces come off the board. See that? Look at that. It's all forced, right? You take here. He takes, you take. Pawn up, you know? How about that? They say give the check. Now, what if he goes here so that there's no, if I take rook takes rook, there's no check. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway, right? I mean, I'd like to take here. I see this already because it's a check move over there. Now you get rid of all the pieces. And what the heck? Now, I mean, if he tries to go in, the rook still covers, right? So I know this is stating the obvious. At least now, if the king went to d2, you eliminate the bishop. And there you go. It's over. The knight covers e8. The pawn can never queen. And it's an easy win. Now there's not even a bishop on the board. All right, so anyway, let's get back. This is just pretty elementary, you know. When the knight comes up, you know, you can't go in yet. You can't go in. So here we go. Here comes the pawn up, right? And just to show the footnote, look at this. Look at this now. If the knight, this is an alternative line the old masters give, doesn't work. You take the bishop first. All right, queen takes back, right? Now you're trying to win this pawn, which it looks like you do, right? But look at this. The knight comes in forking anyway. It's covered by the, you know, protected by the rook and the queen, right? So, I mean, no matter what you do, white's going to win the exchange and be up, however you want to play it. I don't even get it. Look at this, the engine with a6. Does it even matter, folks? All right, so anyway. Look at this. They go for mate on g7. We're not giving the engine too much time. But you know what? White's winning here. He's going to pick off one of those rooks. You go to protect. All right, he takes the rook on f8. And he's up the exchange, right? All right, so anyway, that's just a sideline. They just give it up to this point. Look, after there, they say if he takes, the queen takes, and they just give this right up to there. And there you go. White's winning here. All right. So, here we go. The knight, we don't take there. Again, Morphy threatening. Queen takes h2, check. All right, he blocks it, right? He blocks it. All right, remember that move. Watch the light square weakness that comes later. All right, watch this now. Queen to c5, threatening queen takes f2, leading to mate. Right? Let me get my fork. I want to win the exchange. All right, you just lost the game. You're not even going to get to grab one of those rooks. See that? All righty. So here we go. Can't fork yet. You see, when your opponent threatens you, if you can make a stronger threat, there's no need to play defense. You understand? That's why they say sometimes a good offense is the best defense. All right? You counter your opponent's threat with an even greater threat. He's threatening you to win the exchange. You threaten to just end the game with a two-move checkmate, right? All right, so Lowenthal sees this. All right, he brings the queen to e2, protecting f2. All right? So now, all right, he chops off this bishop, and he's also hitting the rook on a1, so still Lowenthal doesn't go in yet. He takes the piece. Now those pawns are doubled up, those b pawns, right? All right. So now, here we go. We attack the queen, right? We attack the queen. All right, the queen moves to f3. And now, look at this. Now we attack the queen with the knight. So Lowenthal still couldn't get in his knight to e6. See the tactics, folks? I'll tell you, Morphy was something else. All right, so here comes the queen. The queen moves. Okay, he's threatening mate. All right, here we go. Morphy with a little defensive move now. Okay, h6. So now here comes the rook. The queen rook protecting the d5 pawn, right? So look at this. Here's another move. If he goes in with it now, look at this. If he goes in with this now, attacking the rook on f8 and the queen, now he's not forking the rooks. He's forking this guy and the queen. See that? But look at this, folks. You got the check. Let's see. Oh, you take. Oh, yes, you take the pawn. There you go. There you go. The queen would take. Okay, and now if you go in to grab your rook, watch this, folks. The knight, dangerous. Remember I said G3 created light square weakness. Look at this. Now you got a fork of your own. You're forking the king and rook on E1, right? Now, where does the king go? Okay. Well, obviously, if you look at the engine up there, right over here, look. King F1, right? Saying King F1. Let's just examine first, right? What if he comes up, right? Oh, boy. Big trouble. Double check. Knight takes double check. Now, if he goes anywhere, right? If he goes anywhere, here or here, you got the queen coming in with me. Okay? Because the knight's protected by the rook down on E8. See that? Okay. So really, you can only go to double check. King's got to move. Can't block a double check. All right, he comes in there. Here comes the queen, right? Check. Only move right there. Queen takes mate. How about that one, huh? Beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right, now, let's see if he goes, look. If he goes, here is no different. I mean, you got the knight taken, right, with check. And now, I mean, if he moves, again, the obvious, we just show it, right, mate. But, okay, so he's got a block. He blocks. Queen D, how about, let's see, we got to make sure here. Queen to D3. I was looking Queen D2, threatening mate on G2, right? Coming here, threatening mate there. But the engine's saying D3. Maybe to protect the F pawn. I didn't even look at this yet. Let me see. He gets a check with the... Oh, my rook is hanging, huh? Is that the idea? Let's see what he does. What does he do here? He checks with this. Because if he takes here, he loses the game anyway, right? I got a one-move mate set up. So he goes in with check. King over. Knight F4 protecting. Ah. So I see. So let's see what D3. Let's see what he says. The idea of this is to try to mate on F1. Right? Here he goes with the knight check. Now the option is to come up. This looks much stronger. Look at the engine up there. He's still winning. This leads to nothing, right? Because the rook takes. No problem. All right. He comes back over. Check. Didn't look at this. I mean, we're up, saying seven pawns. Our attack, the king is exposed. Our attack, I guess, comes in first. What if he goes like this? Just curious. Knight D3, threatening mate. I guess he's got nothing left. Look at this. You don't even care about taking that guy. What could he do, huh? He can't stop. He can't. His queen's on the light squares. He's got no defense of queen to F2 mate. So he tries to come up to run. Oh, look at this. You take over here. You take over here. You could grab that rook maybe, but he comes up. Knight F2. Ah, look at that. If he comes up, good night, baby. Good night. Look at that. See that? When you get that king on the edge, I'll tell you, the knight and queen, very dangerous. I said it before, I'll say it again. The best two pieces. If you want to pick any two pieces that coordinate, nothing coordinates better than a knight and queen. I've seen it a dozen times. Look at this, a discovered check. That's it. It's over for him. Now if he goes to G1, we check him, right? Let's see. We take the rook with check. All right. King G2, right? Here comes the rook. It's going to be over. There you go. Look, you get him like that. All right. That's why the queen puts pressure on that rook on A2, on A1. All right. So it's basically over. The knight, the discovery, if he goes straight up, forget it. It's all over, right? If he goes, if he doesn't go to G1 and he goes to, say, right here, you could just go right in, just to show another mating pattern. I like showing the obvious, folks, because I know those that are learning are picking up these patterns. That's what it's all about. You put them together. That's how you win your chess games. All right, so there you go. So the queen, the queen coming to D3. The engine says that's winning. Beautiful stuff, right? Beautiful stuff. Let's go back to where, let's see, just to make sure what we're talking about. Right? Now they give king here, right? That's what the engine picks up. Let's make sure on this check. You'll see oh well, look, at this point he's given up. He's saying, all right, this was an idea the engine was showing, but I mean, really? If he does that first, you don't take the queen. First, let's trade off these guys, right? All right, then he gets that. You get it with check. Now you take, right? Make sure over there. Let's see. I mean, what else are you going to do, right? All right, you take there. There you go. Comes here. I mean, this is winning. This is winning for black. All right, so we got that. Now let's go into it. Watch this. Watch this. Queen taking knight is no help. Here's the move, right? Now watch this. Did you see this one, folks? Look at this. This saying here, right? Schroeder had thrown the queen over here. It's pretty much the same idea. You check on the diagonal. Now you can't block because you got the rook on E8, see, supporting the queen. Forget about it. You can't do that. Can't do that. So the king's got to go where? One square right there. Okay, here we go. Now we get it. Now we get the knight check, right? So if he goes to here, right? I'm seeing this is the engine's doing, but then we lose the knight on E1, right? So I'm thinking this move. What if this, right? Threatening mate on G2. So now he hits my rook. He hits my knight. Where's he go now? I'm threatening mate on G2 if you haven't noticed. All right, the knight goes back covering. So knight F3 again. King comes up. Look at this, folks. The double check. Does the double check work? No, he goes back to G1, I believe, right? Maybe he wormed his way out, huh? Rook E1. Rook takes, knight takes, check, king up. I think black had better. Let's see. Hold on. You take, king g1. We all know what this leads to. Watch this, just to show it. Look, queen check, right? Now he's got one square right there. Look at this. Watch. This is what I'm talking about, the coordination. Look at the beauty here. Look, the knight checks, right? No other square but to go back. Now we get a double check. Look at this. Now he can only go up. And now, I'm telling you, folks, isn't that beautiful? The coordination of knight and queen, right? All right. I mean, your opponents stand no chance. You have tactics like this, forget it. If they're under 2,000, oh, you're gonna mop them up. You're gonna mop them up. All right. So the king comes back, right? So let's see what goes on here. We just take, then he takes, right? I mean, if we go here, he takes there, right? And then we get b3. I mean, we got the queen. The queen side pawn majority. We got 3 pawns versus 1. But you know, it feels like there's something better. I think with Shredder, I did find something better. I'm pretty sure it was this move. Thought it was this. Threatening mate. Now, obviously, you can't take the knight because then rook takes rook as mate, see? All right, so you get the knight out here with check, right? The knight comes up with check. The king goes here. The knight comes back, defending g2. So now we got this one. He comes up. There is a double check from here or here, but I don't think he just goes back, right? He goes back. King g1. So we get nowhere like that. So and now we can't. We don't have time for something like that, for instance, because then he just takes our knight now. See that? With the king coming up, there's 2 on the knight on f3, so it's got to move, right? Now they're saying rook to e1. Look at this. Rook to e1. Because if he does take now, we take with check, he takes, and then we win the rook. And now we got the queen side pawn majority up the exchange. So now it's a no-brainer, right? So after this move, rook to e1, he takes. I guess it gets the rooks off the board, so we're a little closer to the end game. Maybe those pawns will mean something on the queen side. All right, he goes here. If he goes up, does it matter? Not really, right? Just looking at, let's see, he takes there. What if you hit the knight who's defending g2, right? All right, he goes in like this, and they forced to trade. They're forced to trade. He's going to go to e5. He can escape to e5. King's getting, you know what, though? This is pretty good for black, because now you're gaining tempos on that knight. You're bringing your king to the center. You see this? Very important to get your king. Once those queens are off the board, you're in an endgame with knights. Forget it. You want your king to be dominant in the center of the board, attacking pawns and stuff. So already he supports his knight. So he's got that knight posted nice there. Oh, okay. Wait, can we force off the knights though? Watch this. Oh, he's got it. He comes up here. We could check. Right. King comes up. Oh, Oh, we go for h2? What if we take... Why don't we just take like this? We win that pawn. All right, he wins that one. Big deal. How can he win? He can't win this. And he can't even fight off... It's black's move? All right, we're going to launch the pawns. Good end, guy. I'm curious now. I didn't stumble into this until now. Very instructive. There's no way. The H-pawn, H2 pawn, it can't move without the pawn takes pawn en passant, right? Remember that move, folks? You can't do something like this. Pawn takes pawn en passant, and you're in 2 moves, right? So those pawns are pretty much stuck. The king is all the way out in left field over here. He's got no hope, right? All right, we're controlling b4. The white pawns are weak. They can't move. It's just a waiting game. Look at this. He sets it up. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens now. Push the passed pawn. See, that's the one. Capablanca's rule. The pawn that's passed, which is either this guy, right? I mean, there's no passed pawn, but the one that doesn't have a challenger. See that on this file or this file? You pick and choose, right? All right, the computer likes C4. Good enough. All right. Okay. So what else can you do? Let's see. You can't push, you just lose it, right? You can't push it. You don't want to keep it there, you lose it. Right? You move the king, you just take him, right? You take him. So he's forced to trade. All right, he trades, right? All right, now we take that guy. You see what's coming, folks? 2 against 1. Right? What could he do? What could he do? He goes over here, right? Here comes the A pawn. Now they're side by side. Pick and choose, right? There you go. What are you trying to do over there? What are you trying to do? No time. No time. Doesn't matter. Makes no difference. Let's make sure we do this right. All right, you do this guy so that when this guy takes, you're marching this guy right in, and your king, right? Here we go. Look, takes A2. Don't even mess around over there. Get yours before you could even come close, right? He takes this way, I guess. All right, king over. All right, he gets a tempo check. You go right here. Look, you block your pawn. The pawn's going nowhere. All right. So now we can march this one up, right? But we got, look, we're in. We got it. Game over, right? All right, very instructive. The point to this, too, hey, I could look, let's go back a move, right? I could take here if I want, right? Why not? I could make it simple. See, now I can march this guy. This pawn over here, see? My king's real close. See, needs no problem. No problem. I can march him up. Look, I'm still in the box, right? I could still catch that pawn, even if he moves here now, right? If he moves up. Oh, it's my move. What am I talking about? I'm losing track of things. Forget it. It's all over. All right, let's get back to the game. Look at this. I know I'm jumping through. I get sucked right in, folks. Sucked right in. All right, but it's worth going over. I love this stuff. All right, so anyway, there's a possibility, you know? Possibility. All right. So anyway, let's go all the way back. Where did this even come from? All right, he comes here threatening mate. You hit him there. He jumps there to the to e6, and now the point was we get this d pawn, and if he goes in like this, the check, forget about it. Black's winning at this point. Okay, so here we go. This goes up. You defend the mate on h7, right? Queen takes h7 would have been mate. All right, we get the knight leaping in, or it doesn't. He moves the rook. That's what he does. Lowenthal doesn't jump in yet. Forking the queen and the rook. He throws his queen rook on d1. Now the knight would love to come to e6, right? Because the move that we did, let's throw in a silly move. The move that, you know, started this all was queen takes pawn, right? Now he can't even take. He can't get that pawn. The rook's defending it. All right? So, let's take back a6. Silly move. All right, so we were on move 25, right? Queen rook to d1. All right, now, here we go. Morphy coming down, attacking those isolated pawns, the isolanis they call them, right? There's two of them on the B file. All right, here finally, hey, he gets in, but there's no fork, right? But watch this now. The knight, Morphy doesn't move the rook again. He answers Lowenthal's threat of winning the exchange with a greater threat. The greater threat, once again, is queen takes, right? Okay, wait a minute. Did I play that right? Let me check the engine, right? Oh, okay. You got to take here first. Silly me. All right. I mean, actually, you don't even have to. Whatever you want to do, right? Look, you could take here. He goes over, check. Right now, you could take here. He takes. Here he goes. That way, he comes up. Queen F2. Right? He goes there. Mate. If he comes up, what if he comes up? Right? Same thing. Boom. See those patterns, folks? No problem. You know what? When you know these patterns, to see it from, let's say, here, right? You jump up the knight like this. You see it. If he takes your rook on F8, you see all these patterns. You see it. You could take first here, the engine. Look at the engine. He likes to do it with the rook first. Does it matter? No, folks, it doesn't. He goes there. Now you take like this. He goes over. You take. He goes there. All the same. All the same. All the same. See? You checkmate him that way. See the other pattern now? Beautiful. All right. So it allows you to calculate deeper by just knowing these patterns, these mating patterns. All right. So anyway, he can't. With this, he can't take the rook, right? All right. So what does he do? Look at this. He moves the rook over. He's got to defend F2. Okay. Now he grabs this pawn. He says, to hell with the exchange, right? Why? Because, look, if he cannot, here's the note, he cannot save the exchange because if rook to G8, then he attacks the queen. The queen moves, for instance, the queen goes here. Let's just pick a spot, right? Now they're given this, all right? And if you come down, if you're dumb enough to take with the king, now this guy comes down, right? And if you're dumb enough to make another mistake and go here, look at this. There's the warning bells. Look, mate, it's going to be mate on H7. What do you do, folks? What can you do? Right? Look at it. Look at him, mate. Look at the desperation. You take here. What does that do? Come on. What are you doing? Look, all right, here comes this one, right? All right, you block him out. You got queen H7, mate, coming. All right, you take there, you take there, you take that way, this way. All right, look at this. What's going on? Oh, you got a check. Oh, big deal. Here you go. Where are the checks now? Right? Oh, there's one. Right? There's one. All right, mate. You get them this way. Right? All right. The patterns, folks. There you go. Right? All right. So here's the point, though. Now, this is what they say. The old masters say, like we just shown, rook over to protect. If he tries to protect, save the exchange, they give this, queen moves, and then the knight takes, and they say, that's all, right there. They leave it at that. Knight takes, knight pawn, all right? Descriptive notation. Knight takes G7, exclamation point. Now, wait a minute. Hold your horses, right? Now, if you take this way, okay, he gets this one with check. All right, fine. But let's go back another move, right? Because none of this is forced, folks. If he moves his rook over here, he attacked the queen. Well, what if the queen goes over here like the engine's saying? All right, now, what are you going to do now? Right? I mean, okay, let's just show the sack now. What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. You take like this. The rook can't take here because your rook on G7. The queen can't take here because you got your queen on it, right? So what's going on here? I don't know. They didn't look. You go. Just don't get it, folks. If he go, what if he throws a rook like this, right? Because now if you move, I don't know, wherever, right? However you want to do it. Now he comes down with the queen, check, right? goes there. All right, so now white takes over, right? White takes over. So look, he's forced to take this guy. All right, you're winning the queen for the two rooks, right? King up, only move. Now what? Right? F4. F4. Interesting. I mean, at this point, they're saying black is winning. Oh, look at this, rook E2. Going for F2. What does he do? What is he gonna do? I know I'm not giving the engine much time, but let's just see where it goes. He's saying H3. All right, you get this, king back, right? You pin the H pawn. How about that? You pin that H pawn. He goes here though. You take there. I'll tell you, this is tough. White's got a tough challenge now. Two rooks and the knight against the queen. Alright, he gets C7 like this. Oh wow! Look, did you just hang your rook? Did you hang your rook, folks? Nope, you pinned the queen. See that? Game over. Right? Game over. Okay, but he doesn't have to take there. Wow. He's saying he does have to take. Where does he go from this point, I guess, right? With the check. Well, we don't want to go to the edge. Doesn't look right. If he goes there, the knight goes here. He's got one square. And there you go, look. Mate. Okay? So, he only has this square. Right? Again, folks, the mating patterns. Look at this. All right. Check. If he goes there, does it matter? I mean, they're saying king to E1. King to D2. Here we go. King to D3. Doesn't want to go here, right? He can't. He doesn't want to go here because then you'll lose your queen, right? There you go. You lose the queen. See that? Tactics, folks. Tactics, right? So he's got to stay on the D file. Now, is he going to force him over there? He's got only one square, which is... He can't go to the C file because of what we just showed. Rook to C1, winning the queen. He can't go here because of the knight. He's got only one square, folks. He's running out of room. Knight F6. He's only got one square. Wait, he can't go up, right? He can't go there. What if he goes here? What if he goes here? Look at this. Look at this. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at taking here. The heck? All right, but anyway, they're saying here with exclamation point, huh? I got to see it, folks. I got to see it. Now, why don't he take? Why don't he take like this? I guess because he's going to get mated now against the edge, right? Where does he go? This is only, let's see. Yeah, queen. Queen's got a block. Let's see if he doesn't. If he just goes here, his only move, right? You go there. And whether he takes the pawn or he comes up here, right? Doesn't matter. Right? Boom. All right. Beautiful stuff, huh? That was a nice king hunt. Look at that. So he goes, okay, on this, he goes there. Your knight check. All right, they have this move, right? Do you see it, folks? I see it right away. It's screaming. There you go. The knight fork. Nice. All right, he gets your rook. You get him, right? You get the queen. Game over. All right. Beautiful, huh? Beautiful. Now I'm doing this on the fly. I didn't even go this deep. I'll tell you, that was something else. I don't even know how we got into that one. Okay, all right. So, all right, that was this. All right, the whole idea, the old master's talking about queen moves. They don't say where. They just say queen moves. And then knight takes G7. And it's got exclamation point. I mean, you know, Let's move the queen to e4, right? Now what? All right, here you go. You go with this. You go with this. Knight f6. We attack that. We attack the white queen. He takes us. We take him. Right? Didn't win the exchange. He goes over here. And at this point, you know, I guess looks like the white is winning now, according to this. They move the rook over here. Is this what it's saying? He's gonna lose c7, huh? All right. Maybe it is winning for white still. Not in the same fashion that they that the old masters gave, right? Maybe it was better for black though, huh? Let's see. Instead of this, right? How about this one? Same idea. Is that any different? You're still protecting the rook. You're still protecting the rook on e8 with your queen. He goes here, right? Got to do it. Got to get into this one. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, I'm not giving the engine much time, so yeah, there could be better stuff. We all know. We all see it. There we go. But it's always interesting to look at this stuff. I get sucked right in. All right. It says black's winning. He's got the queen side. He's got the knight. He's got the queen side majority here. Which could, you know, if all the pieces come off, to have a pass point on the queen side is more valuable than one on the king side, because the kings are already on the king side, right? All right, anyway, getting really deep into it. But basically, I don't see what the masters are seeing. The old master's seeing the take over here now. I don't know. Don't get it. But anyway, okay, so look at this. The engine plays this. C6. All right, well, because the knight can't drop back, or you hang your queen, you know. So that's why they're putting pressure on him. I guess you try to undermine the white knight with c6. Look at this. He has a tempo on you. Queen e4. Looks like white's gaining the edge here. He wins the knight. Like this anyway. We get the pawn. All right. He's building. He's building here. White's doing better. All right. So maybe there's some logic to this, but in a whole different bag, you know. A whole different thing. Oh, this was the line. This was the line Shredder came up with. All right. That's right. Now I remember. This is how they threw it. Now you go here. Similar. Instead of, you know what it transposes? Because instead, before, white went attacked the queen from here. All right. This time he attacks it there. And now they trade, right? This was the same thing. That's right. White gains an edge. He went over here, attacked. They gave this move. Shredder came up with that move. And then with this knight winning there. All right, we go here. They're given. All right, so maybe white, you know, white is better. Slightly better. Oh, look at this. He protects this way, huh? All right, we take the pawn. He protects. And I know I'm throwing no time for the engine, really. But all right, let's give it to white there. A little edge there. Looks like he can pull out a win with that slight advantage, okay? But all right, let's go to it now. So black doesn't do this. Hey, what do you know, right? Maybe Morphy saw all this. And like I said, he doesn't bother moving it. Maybe not for what the old masters were claiming, right? Because of this is what they said, just to reiterate, to review, right? Queen moves, and now they give this, right? Not really. And maybe Morphy saw what would come, you know? Maybe he saw this, right? This move right here or right there. Knight comes, and they trade the queens. and white's up. Okay, maybe Morphy saw it, so he doesn't go in for this. For different reasons that the old masters, what they analyzed. So what does he do, folks? He says, the hell, like I said, the hell with the exchange. He takes the pawn. He feels, all right, he'll be down the exchange, but he'll have the queen side pawns, right? So here we go. Queen takes pawn on b2. All right, Lowenthal finally grabbing the exchange. He's been fighting the whole game to get it. All right, here we go. Rook takes knight. Now he boots that knight away. All right. Drops that knight to f6. Okay, look at that. The f5 pawn, there it is. It falls, right? All right, Morphy grabs the b3 pawn. Now look at those pawns. And he's attacking d5, right? All right, look at this. Lowenthal doesn't care. He pushes it up. He trades this pawn for that pawn. There you go. Now the rook's coming down. Right, the rook's coming down. All right, here we go. The queen swings down. He doesn't, I don't know, he's protecting his queen side pawns from the second rank. All right, here we go. Look, let's see. What is rook to queen 2. He pulls back this guy. Okay. Rook to d2. Here come the pawns, right? You got to march. You got to utilize your pluses here. Morphy's got the queen side pawns. That's what he's got to play for now. Put pressure, right? Here they come. Here they come. While Lowenthal redeploys his rooks, he's getting ready. Look at this. He's getting ready. Queen to c5, threatening the rook down to e7, okay? To the enemy's, to the 7th rank. Wreck mayhem. Get the rooks to the 7th, right? You wreck havoc in the enemy position. Morphy can't have it. He challenges, and look at this. Lowenthal will not be denied. Look, he takes over control of the e-file. Double them rooks. Morphy's forced to trade. All right, so now Lowenthal, once again, he has control of the e-file, threatening rook to e7, right? All right, Morphy on the offense. He brings his queen right to brings it to b3, trying to help push those pawns, protect the b pawn, and he could push the a pawn up to a5, right? All right, doesn't matter. Look at this now. Morphy's got a task on his hands. He's in trouble. All right, the queen coming down with check. Now, very interesting. Watch the load of this, all this analysis. Look at this. The knight comes back to block that queen, right? All right, what do we do? Here is the analysis. If the queen comes down, no problem. Swap those guys off, and look at this rook right over here. The a pawn's dead. How's this knight gonna? Knight can't fly over and protect in any way, right? He can't. No way. Out of range, no match. Rook versus the knight. The knight's useless. Okay, the rook's gonna eat him up. All right, eat up those pawns, and it's an easy win for white. So you can't block with the queen. And if the king comes up, right? King comes up, well, then you got the threat to the g7 pawn, threatening mate. The only way to protect, you check the king. The king tucks away safe on h2. All right, you got to swing it back to protect g7, right? And then the rook goes after the pawn over here, right? I don't know. They give knight up here. All right. Okay, you're unleashing the queen's protection of the a6 pawn, right, along the rank. And here we go. Look at this. Now you come down, and they just give that. That's it. That's it for black. What's he gonna do, folks? Now it's pretty tricky. Now look at the engine. If you just try to say, oh, just let's swap them off. All right, easy street again. He's on easy street. Here you go. You lost the a pawn, right? No match. Let's look. You go after the f2 pawn, okay? All right, the king, no reason for white to lose a pawn. Look, if you try to protect, you attack the protector. All right, he protects the knight with the knight protects the pawn. Now the pawn protects the knight. Big deal. What are you going to do now, right? You put pressure on him. What are you going to do? The knight here, right? Knight there. Whoop-de-doo. Right now the knight is pinned. Now the knight is basically stuck babysitting that guy, right? And it's a king and pawn endgame over here with the knight stuck on a2 protecting his b pawn, right? Now the king's going to come up, and it's like a king and pawn endgame, 3 against 2. No match, no match. I mean, heck, he could march the king over there. He could come up and support his pawn majority on the king side. I mean, black's gone. He's a goner. All right? You could play that one out. All right? So there's no problemo there. All right? So let's get back into the game. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Where are we anyway? All right, the queen comes. The queen comes down. Morphy blocks with the knight. All right, he blocks with the knight. Now, beautiful stuff. Watch the I mean, Lowenthal is no slouch, folks. This is beautiful. The way he finishes off our hero. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Watch this. Very instructive, right? Lowenthal was no joke. This is beautiful. Watch this now. He comes down. He comes down with the rook to e7, and now there's the mate threat. Queen takes pawn on g7 mate. All right, so Morphy now to defend gives a check, and Lowenthal tucks the king on h2, safe from all checks. Right? There's no queen no checks on the light squares if he was to go to g2. You know, for instance, down the road, who knows? That king would be exposed. So Lowenthal, smart, tucks it in on h2. All right. Now Morphy's got to definitely get back for the defense of the g7 pawn. All right, so he goes back to stop the mate. Queen d4. All right, so here we go. So now we take it from this point, right, just to make sure. I lost my bearings right here. 1 second. All right, so he goes, okay, yes. Queen is d4, and now watch this, folks. Look at it. Rook to e8. Now the mate threat is queen takes knight. So Morphy readjusts. He puts the queen on c4, defending the knight and stopping the mate. All right, here we go now. Here's a little note. It says, the only remaining interest in the game lies in Lowenthal's method of winning the 2 passed pawns. Well, here he goes. He swings the rook, attacking a6. All right, Morphy keeps the queen in place and pushes b4. He's got to push those pawns up, folks. He's got to try to create some kind of diversion while his king side's being attacked. I mean, he's got to play for something. So he's playing, at least he's defending a6 with the queen by advancing the pawn 1 step closer. So now it's 3 moves away, the b pawn. All right, so now here we go. Rook up to a7, adjusting, attacking once again the threat. Queen takes g7 mate. So Morphy is forced to defend. Once again, going to d4, protecting g7, and lo and behold, he's attacking the rook, like Lowenthal's going to forget, right? All right, so anyway, here he goes. Queen to d4, and now you got it. Look, if you haven't noticed. Rook takes a6. He's got the 1 pawn, but Morphy has the other one, and he pushes to b3. It's two steps away, folks. But don't get excited. Here we go. Look at Lowenthal in total control, right? Back, the rook back. Let's see, back to attack on a8, backing up the queen. The threat, queen takes knight mate once again. All right, so now this time, Morphy moves the queen to d5. Protecting the knight and also backing up his b3 pawn. All right, here we go. What does he do next? What's Lowenthal do? Well, he moves. Let's see. Where does he move? All right. Am I getting this right? 46, yes. Once again, here he goes. Back to a7. The threat, once again, yes, folks, you could say it, right? Queen takes g7 mate. All right, Morphy goes back. Now he goes to d4 once again. And he's looking to defend g7 and maybe push that pawn down 1 step closer. Here comes Lowenthal, putting pressure on that b3 pawn, folks. And what does Morphy do? Well, he doesn't push it, okay? If he did push it, you see the engine right away. Queen to f5, controlling b1 with the rook and queen. You know, Lowenthal would take over the diagonal, the b1, h7 diagonal, and, you know, the pawn's toast. He'd bring the queen back. He could get, there's no way the knight could go back and help. No way. The pawn will fall, and then it's pretty much over. But anyway, my chess computer Shredder came up with this. You know, my program Shredder, queen f5 wins for white. And here you go. The genius finds the same line. So anyway, what does Morphy do? He doesn't go for that. He doesn't push the pawn. He brings his queen to defend the pawn. Queen to c3. Okay, but now, I mean, maybe he's looking to, he doesn't have time, but maybe he's trying to get the queen to c2 to support the pawn in, escort it into b1, but, I mean, it's too slow. He's trying to hang on. It's pretty desperate. But now you got this move. Watch this, where Lowenthal really puts it away. Here, look at this. Queen to f7. All right, now, they're both ganging up on the b3 pawn, right? So if Morphy didn't do this, if he was to push it to b2, well, look at this right here, folks. Rook to b8. The knight is pinned. The knight's dead. She's a goner. That's pretty much it. There's nothing you can do. You see the engine. The engine saying king to get out of the pin. Doesn't even matter. You get the piece. I mean, it was mate, right? It was a mate threat, folks. Queen takes mate. So at least he gets up a little. You take. All right, he runs over here, but it's going to soon be over. The rook swings up. And look, the best that the computer could come up with is block with the queen, huh? I mean, if he steps up, you give the check. He's got to move block, and it's mate. And if he steps up, if he comes up to this square instead, you don't go here. You just check right here. Look at this. Then he goes this way. Only move, right, folks? Wham. See the patterns, folks, the mating patterns. That's it, kiddos. You got to get those down. You're going to be like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. You just see them, right? All right, so look at this. The block, big deal. I mean, let's simplify, right? All right, he's got to take. You jump back here, you gobble up that pawn because it's check, right, folks? Rook takes queen, check. Can't push b1 now. All right, so there you go. You get your queen back there, it's over, right? All right, simple enough. So Morphy doesn't push with the queen to f7, devastating move. What does Morphy do? Well, he doesn't want his knight to be pinned with rook to b8, so he gets out of keeps that knight from being pinned. And lo and behold, here you go. Lowenthal wins the second pawn. Nice, huh? Nice technique right there. The rook takes pawn, tempo on the queen. All right, the queen goes to e5 right here, pulls it back. Okay, the knight comes back down. And, Morphy's pretty tied up. He ends up playing h5. And here you go. Look at this. Rook to d7 with the threat right here, hitting the queen. Queen moves, you win this guy over here, right? All right, so there you go. Real pressure, right? Pressure move. All right, so what is Morphy tries? He tries the tricks. Knight attacking the queen. If you did something like this, oh boy, look at that. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be an early Christmas. What was the date on this one again? Where was it? It was in July. Fifth match game, July 20th, 1858. Oh, boy, you have an early Christmas present, huh? Middle of July. Look at that. Can you imagine? You fight hard like that, you throw it away, forget about it. Right? I mean, it happens to the best of us. It happens, folks. Well, look at this. Look. Knight comes up. No big deal. Lowenthal offers the queen exchange. This is a one-end game, folks. White's up a pawn. 3-2 with a rook against the knight. Forget it. All right, so then you got, what does Morphy do here? I think he pulls it back to f6, right? What move is this, 52? All right, there you go. Rook f6. All right, he's keeping an eye on that f2, folks, that f2 pawn. If you do something like this, something stupid, you try to maybe, trade queens. Come on, trade queens with me. No, look, he goes right in, folks. You get, another way to blow it. I mean, you don't lose the game, but you feel like a loss. You give the draw. You had a one game, right? So this is Morphy's playing for the tricks. You can't blame the guy. He's trying. He's trying one slip against a good player, and it's all they need. All right. So Lowenthal, though, he's a good player himself. Here you go. Queen to d3 check. King down. Here comes the rook. Knight blocks. And now, again, like if you want to go in, you pile up on that knight. Whoa, look at that. You just lost the pawn, right? All right, you could block and stop the you could block and stop the perpetual check. But folks, I mean, now it's the pawns are even and they're on the same side of the board, and that's known as a draw. Okay, knight against the rook, pretty much a draw there. No headway. No headway could be made. All right, so anyway, what happens? Block, and now you got move 55. Okay, look at this. He offers the queen trade from d4. Why? Because he's protecting f2 still. See that, folks? Trade queens. Come on, let's get him off the board. Let's get this game done with. Well, Morphy's not having it. He moves the queen. Moves the queen to f3. All right, still keeping his eye on f2. But here comes, let's see, Lowenthal. What does he do? What does he, look at this. He moves the king to g1 to protect f2. There's still no checks. And there's no checks at the moment on d1, right? Because you got the white queen and rook on that d file. So right now, you know, the good move, king. He's getting it, slowly making headway. King's protecting f2. Now what does Morphy play for? Really nothing. He's got nothing but to survive. Here he goes. King to h7, right? He tries to keep out a potential pin of the knight. And look at this, though. He walks into this one. Queen to d5. Forking everything. Look at this. Forking the black queen, the black knight, and the h5 pawn. So Morphy, he can't help it. He's got to do what he's got to do, right? He's got to trade. Nothing you can do. Lowenthal takes back, and now it's a rook against a knight endgame. Just what Lowenthal wants. He's up a pawn. It's a book win. So now we got move 58. Okay, the knight comes up. He gets a tempo on that rook. No big deal. Rook to e5. King comes up. Morphy moves the king to g6. Pawn up. f4. That's the lead pawn. See, there's no challenges, folks. See how there's no f pawn, black f pawn. You want that f pawn leading the charge. All right, here you go. Look at this. King f7. Morphy's going to rock back and forth. Here comes Lowenthal's king. All right, here we go. King g6. We got king f3. King f7. Now we swing the rook. Rook all the way over to a5. Keeping it on that 5th rank. All right, Morphy back to g6. And now, here we go. Look at this. Lowenthal pins the knight. But okay, Morphy back out to f7. No big deal. But look at this now. Pawn f5, boxing out the king. There's no more g6. There's no e6. So what does he do? What does he do, folks? He moves the knight, right? He moves the knight to d5. Here comes the pawn. They trade the pawns. Check. No big deal. He takes back. All right. Now the knight swings back to e7, blocking any potential checks. No big deal. King up. All right. Morphy gives a check. He checks him, but no big deal. He comes up to e5. All right, now Morphy parks the knight on f6. And look at this, folks. Check. And right at this moment, Morphy resigned. He knew it was over. There's no hope. Well, let's go over. Let's take the engine and play it out. Now, you can see king right here. Look, the engine's saying king to e8. Can you believe it? I mean, you're just dropping the pawn. What help is this, right? The knight can't take because the rook protects, right? The rook's protecting. All right. So anyway, I mean, you see that check real quick. Oh, let me grab the pawn. No, not really, folks. All right. So anyway, all right, he comes over here. Big deal. Why don't we just take him? Well, what does it matter? You don't have to think. You don't have to even think at this point, folks. You got those 2 pawns going in. All right. So anyway, look. On this, you can't go to e8. I mean, if you try to go over here to possibly go this way, right? Need some kind of, fortress. Well, white's not having it. You push g5, you boot the knight. All right, he gets a check in, right? So anyway, the king could come up and threaten mate on the back rank, I guess, right? That's what it looks like. Look at the edge here, folks. Look at this advantage. 22, huh? King right here. There's no knight check. So, I mean, you're threatening. You could push g6 next and threaten the back rank mate. But if he comes up here, well, looks like they're going with F6 is the move by the computer, huh? Let's see how that plays out. I mean, you're gonna march the pawn in, I guess. Mate and 8, folks. I love it. Mate and 8. Let's see where this goes. Let's see how he gets him. All right. Oh, look at this. Rook. Oh no, F7. I mean, you can't even make up its mind. Look at this. What do we do? F7. Mate and 8. Okay. F7. You're gonna go in with the pawn, I guess, right? King. I mean, do we even have to look further? Look, you get your queen. What are we doing here? Right? What are we doing? It's all over, folks. I mean, there's no real help here. Let's go back. We won't waste time. I just wanted to see something interesting. On the check, I think if we go up like this, going after the knight, right? I guess it's not the best move. I mean, look at what it's saying now. It's saying to go here. I mean, it just wants to, I think even the engine wants to just get it over with. I mean, if you swing the knight over here, Shredder swung it this way. And then on something like this, look, G6. Now we got a mate threat. So now if he comes up, right, the king comes up, and he's going to have to. I mean, if this king doesn't move over here, folks, what's coming next is king to E6, and he's a goner next move, right? So look, I mean, it's going to be a back rank. He's going for the back rank mate. There's no knight check. He goes over here. I mean, does it even matter anymore? Look, folks, they're playing F6. If he takes, you march right in with this one, right? I mean, what are you going to do now? What's the king going to do? You even under promote. See? Get under promote. Yeah, give me a rook instead. Look, why not? Right? There you go. I don't know what's the other play here. What was the other thing? There's some nice mates here. Different ideas. If he go, that's if he went to look. If he comes straight down. Let's look at it this way, right? He comes down. You hit him there, right? Now, if he goes back, because you got. If he moves here, look. If he moves here, I think we got the same old business, right? You threaten mate, right? And you got rook down next. And if he plays G6, I guess you can play F6, and he's boxed out. You see, like he can't go anywhere, folks. He can't go anywhere. He's forced to sack the knight to survive another move or two. I guess if he came here, right, he could check. He'd have to go up. And what do you march? Do you march this guy down in? He's going right in, folks. There's nothing you can do. Well, what is there to do, right? Yeah, give the knight away for free. Well, you get the queen. Yeah, how about get a knight, huh? They get a knight. All right, queen, right? I don't know. He's got no moves, folks. He can't check, right? He's got no moves. There you go. Good night. All right, so anyway, that's that one. And if he goes back, right? If he goes back, this is good. Now you trap him in there, right? Let's see, make sure we do this. I guess, yeah, we play this, take control of F7. And the knight, okay, the knight, what's he going to do? They're saying to go here. You're just sacking it, right? Sacking it to get, I don't even know. What's the point, right? You go in here, the king up. There's no knight check, and the rook comes down next, right? So he goes to block before you can bring. Well, now you pin it. Now he's zugzwanged, whatever you say. He's got to move back and leaves the knight defenseless. There you go. You take it with mate. See that? That's the one I wanted to show you guys. It's interesting. I like that type of stuff. You get someone in Zug Zwang, right? You pin him, or the king up. What was it? Oh, yeah, he goes there, king up, right? Where's he going to go? Rook's coming down next. So what could you do, right? You bring that guy back. Just seeing it again, going over it again. It's pretty stuff. All right, there you go. So you pretty much have it. Interesting game, you know. Morphy went down. One of the few losses we see, you know. He doesn't have many. So it was a nice game by Lowenthal to pull it out. All right. So until next time, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, I'll see you on Morphy's Games of Chess.